In this research video, you are going to take the next few minutes to learn some facts that the financial industry won't teach you. Facts that only thousands of hours of research can uncover. In addition, if you pay close attention, you'll learn precisely how the research adds up and results in the bull-bear discovery that is the basis of how to make money faster than you ever imagined was possible. You will learn about that in the next video. Okay, let's get started. When I started advising clients in 1985, my goal was to provide the best investments I could. So I listened to my boss, and I was trained by the investment industry to be a good little stockbroker and trade investments to make commissions while trying to make clients some money. But by 1988, I had a crisis of conscience. I was doing well, but my clients were not. So I decided to do some research and to find out which mutual funds were the best to own over the long run. My research was to find the best performers over a 10-year rolling month-to-month basis and compare them to the S&P 500 index. What my research revealed absolutely amazed me. On a rolling 10-year month-to-month basis, that's January 1927 to January 1937, February 1927 to February 1937, and so on, that study revealed secret truth number one. And that secret truth is the S&P 500 index outperforms 86% of all mutual funds since 1927. You don't have to believe me. You can believe people much smarter than me, like these that you see here, these Nobel laureates and well-known investment gurus, who confirm the research I did. In fact, CNN-FN solidly confirmed my study in 1999. Now, shortly, you are going to learn exactly how this truth and the next two truths you're going to learn will add up to big money and put it in your pocket. First, let's learn now about truth number two. Alright, this study was done by Dalbar Associates. Simply put, this chart and the next two charts show you how the top-ranked mutual funds do in following years. It's important to note that 70% of mutual fund inflows, that is money that goes into the funds, happens the year following their being ranked in the top 10 by Dalbar and Morningstar. So how do they perform after being ranked in the top 10? As you can see, 1 year later, many of them are beginning to rank in the thousands. Essentially, their performance is going down the toilet. I did not want to go over every year from 2010 back, but if you look at this one dating back to 1998, it makes the point obvious. The funds ranked in the 1998 top 10 consistently rank in the thousands, roughly 10 years later. Still in the toilet. So what does Dalbar's research teach us? Well, what this teaches us is secret truth number two. Because the economy consistently cycles, buy and hold is for the birds. In fact, Professor Burton gave one of his best descriptions of the buy and hold philosophy to ABC News back in 1992. He said, it's like giving up a belief in Santa Claus. Even though you know Santa Claus doesn't exist, you kind of cling to that belief. Look, you've seen the proof. Over the long run, buy and hold utterly fails. Okay, there's only one more truth to learn here about, and then you will see the results of the research that will literally skyrocket your wealth, even if you do not have investments today. I bet this is probably the first time you've seen these charts, and I promise you, no one in the investment industry wants you to see these, but the fact is, markets like these happen, and they happen more often than not. We baby boomers and Gen X's simply have not seen one until now. But markets can go up and down and sideways for years, and I'm afraid we're historically in this only about halfway. John Templeton, one of the greatest investors of all time, said it best. The four most dangerous words in investing are, it's different this time. Well, I can promise you, it's not different this time. This chart illustrates that losing percentages do not equal gaining percentages. You may or may not know this, but if you take a 50% decline, as you see there in the chart, it takes a 100% return to get back to even. Now, I have recently added this table because so many people have been advised to diversify the same way. Virtually everyone diversifies the same way. This table illustrates gains, losses, and diversification. Using the historical growth rates next to the fund type for each year except one. In that 1 year, the fund goes down by the same amount of the growth rate. What do you think this well-diversified group would average per year? Well, let's find out. Well, that great diversification only led to a 5.74% return. The illusion of high average returns is shattered by the reality of compounded returns. How long do you think it would take you just to get back to a 10% average return? It would take 34.51% in the 6th year, 17.63% for the next 3 years, or 14.51% for the next 5 years. And that would have to occur in every single one of those 5 accounts together. Is this what you bargained for? You could clearly see truth number 3. Avoiding losses is as important as making gains. After seeing this research at one of my seminars, an advisor asked the question, is there anything I can do to beat the markets as a whole then? My buy and hold accounts obviously no longer cut it, and I don't like to trade because I have no real strategy. Well, before I answer that, let me say this, that ignorance can be bliss, but in real life, it can cost you millions. So let's review. Scientific truth number 1. On a rolling 10-year basis, the S&P index outperforms 86% of all mutual funds since 1927. So what are you paying your mutual fund managers for? Doesn't make any sense. They can't even beat the S&P 500. Scientific truth number 2. The economy cycles continuously. So buy and hold is for the birds. And scientific truth number 3. Avoiding bear market losses is required if you want your money to grow fluently. I promise you a revelation. Here it is, so listen intently. After doing all the research and delving deep in the data, I discovered why investments perform well for a time, then drop off, then perform well again. Specific sectors within the economy reveal when the stock market is about to go into a bull or when it is going to growl like a bear. This chart illustrates when each sector comes into play. The blue wave represents the stock market cycle and the green wave represents the economic cycle. These two work together precisely. In fact, Fidelity Investments created this chart on their own site. As you can see, each sector comes into play at different times. If you can determine where in the cycle you are, you have a great opportunity to become tremendously successful, all while lowering your risk substantially. As you can imagine, this can be an amazingly powerful tool when combined with our magnified stock selections. Now it gets even better. I hired a programming team to develop our proprietary investment algorithm to tell us precisely where we are in the economic and stock market cycles. We are the only ones that have it in the world. What I'm going to show you now is the engine in the background that works for you 24 hours a day. Let's take a look. Okay, let's have a little fun here. As you could see, the technology and the research that we did in the past has added up to a powerful backbone to our software EasyTrade360. I want you to notice that there are 2 charts, the first in the top one and the second below. Each has a different algorithm to it. What I want you to really just simply understand is on the top one, if the green line is below the red one, it is bearish, or we estimate that the market will go down. If the green line is above, as they shown here, the red line, then we estimate that the market will rise. Now, just on that alone, we don't take a signal. But let's take a look at the bottom chart. If there is the market is below the purple line, then we estimate it'll be bearish, and this is where we get our signal. And we'll talk about that signal in a second. If the market is green here, is above the purple line, we estimate that the market will rise. Now, in order to take one of those signals, we have to have both charts in the right position. So since this is bearish and this is bearish, we would take that signal. As you can see above, it's bearish. Over here, as it's green, we get the signal here, and since this is above the red line, we go ahead and take that signal. As you can see, it's been accurate. In fact, it's been dead on accurate, 100% accurate since 1995. But let's just not look at that. Let's now go back to the 1960s and show you that in fact it has been extremely accurate even during the 1960s and as starting as in the 1950s. Since 1950, it has been 95% accurate. Since 1994, again, it has been 100% accurate. Let's take a look at this signal. As we can see, the red line, or the red arrow pointing down, says that it's a bearish market, and as we can see above, the green line was below, so we took that signal. Now, when it went bullish here, you can see that the market is above, and at the same time, it is above here, so we take that signal. But in this case, where we see that the market is saying it's bearish here and ready to take a signal, as you can see above, the green line didn't go below the red line, and therefore we would ignore that signal and we would carry the market all the way up to here. So we got a nice gain there. Now, since this red arrow is pointing down, we have to check above, and boy, there it is. The green line is below the red, which means we would take that bearish signal, exit the market, or go short and make money on the market on the way down. Once it hit green again here, as we can see here, it's above, so we would take that signal. Now, as far as this one here, we go again. We've got a red bearish signal here, but the green line did not cross. Therefore, we would ignore it, and we would ride that market all the way up to the top here. Then we would take that bearish signal and go down. So as I've mentioned, it is dead on accurate. The algorithm behind it came from all that research we did. As you can see here, in the recent years, we avoided the decline from 2001 to 2003, and we have avoided the entire decline of 2008, only to ride the market ever since all the way up and make great profits. This is the basis and the foundation to EasyTrade360.